Fontes. I have a doctorate in psychology. I'm a professor, researcher, writer, trainer, and I also work as an expert witness on topics including child abuse, domestic violence, intimate partner violence, coercive control, sexual violence, and related topics of that kind.
Great. So thank you so much for being here. One of those related topics I'm going to talk with you a little bit about is post-separation violence and abuse. Can you talk a little bit about the experience of survivors after they have separated, physically separated, or, divorced or gotten an order for protection? How's that experience different for survivors than when they're in the relationship, and how is it the same?
Post-separation abuse is a continuation of coercive control in the post-separation period. So the abuser, and I'm using the term abuser instead of people who cause harm because it's shorter, but the abuser may not have available all the tactics that they had during the relationship. So they'll use those tactics that they do have access to, which include litigation abuse, constantly bringing somebody to court, delaying discovery, being drawn to conflict rather than trying to settle things in terms of the separation or divorce or custody issues, financial abuse, and also abuse through the children. One of the things that, when there are children involved, we'll often see is what we call DARVO, deny, attack, reverse, victim, and offender. That's a term coined by Jennifer Freed.
Mhm.
And it is a very important term today because what I see regularly now is that domestic abusers will go online and learn that if they want to win the children, they should accuse their victim of being an abuser, a domestic abuser and or a child or abuser and or a drunk and or mentally ill. And there's a term that I created called provoke and record. So sometimes you have domestic abusers who will have either hidden cameras or they'll
Yeah.
hold up their, phone, let's say, and they will deliberately provoke their partner into saying things which are not typical for her. And maybe even threatening or throwing something or cursing. And they'll use these short little, 10-second, 5-second, 12-second clips to try to persuade a judge that actually she's the abuser or, hey, we both have an anger problem. So they're mutualizing a problem, which really isn't a mutual problem. It's in one direction. One person is dominating the other and using power over the other, but they're trying to make it look mutual. They make it look like a high conflict case rather than a case of abuse. And judges can get really confused about this. Everyone can get really confused about it. And so it's important to try to determine what are we really looking at here. It can be hard for people to figure out who is the predominant aggressor. And that's something that has to happen sometimes in the post-separation period. So, see, here's some of the questions that you can look at. Who uses threats and intimidation in the relationship? Um, does either individual isolate their partner? The one who isolates the other is more apt to be the aggressor. Who is verbally abusive? So, who uses derogatory names or humiliates their partner? Who criticizes constantly? Who lies? Who has used sexual acts to control the other person? Who has control of money and finances or uses them as a way to control the other person? Who uses coercion? Who uses threats? Does either party have a history of behaving in cruel or immoral ways? Does either party have a history of perpetrating domestic violence in this relationship or in a previous relationship? Has either party behaved cruelly towards the children? Has either party tried to make the children turn against the other? Now, I don't mean by realistically saying, yeah, yeah, I understand, let's say, daddy yelled and that's scary. I mean, that's not trying to turn the children against the other.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about deliberately trying to fracture the relationship. Um, Is there a physical size difference between the parties? Now, this isn't always 100%, but the person who's smaller, lighter, is less apt to be the dominant person. Does either party express fear of the other? And is there evidence from witnesses? So those are some of the things that we can look at post separation to see, who is more apt to be the aggressor here.
Yeah. So, Lisa, can you say a little bit about maybe just that last one you just talked about? What about when survivors are saying, I'm not scared or I don't live in fear, and about how that can complicate things for when, survivors aren't attaching sort of to that language? Have you had that experience? I have, I know most certainly, and why that might be.
Well, a lot of survivors are not in physical fear because a lot of perpetrators of intimate partner abuse don't use physical tactics.
Yeah.
So they may control the money, they may control who she speaks with, they may control the way she dresses. They may just seem to be drunk every time the friends come over, and so she ends up isolated. So that may not provoke feelings of fear. Also, some women in their early life may have learned that they have to be strong, they have to fight, and therefore they may not feel, they don't want to feel like a victim. That
Yeah.
isn't a kind of a personality or a label that they want to take on, even though they may be victimized.